being here. Ms. Owens, as I understand, earlier you'd mentioned that there may be $2 billion that's needed for administrative costs to finish with addressing the abandoned mines. Can you give us a thumbnail of what the $2 billion, that's with a B, right? Of what the $2 billion in administrative costs would be for in finishing the program?
Well, maybe I should clarify the $2 billion. That there was a question on the disbursement of $5.5 billion, right, that of the 8.5 that's been appropriated, and the $2 billion was that has been used for administrative or dispersed, and the purposes have been administrative costs. And administrative costs include salaries, contracting, several other things.
But it doesn't include any actual cleanup or?
Well, the acid mine drainage set aside that Mr. Quinn keeps referring to is also is lumped into that administrative cost as well. But and it's all of the oversight, the administration. But you're right, it's not the actual on the ground, and that is the question, and that was the concern raised by by Representative Pierce. Right. And I share that concern. Yeah.
Well, since you share that concern, what could be done from your standpoint to lower that number so that some of that money could be used on actually cleaning up? Yeah, go ahead.
To be honest with you, I
prefer that, yeah.
I would be nothing less. But I think that we're going to have, we being OSMRE, are going to have to really work closer with the states to ensure that those funds are going to the construction. I mean, there's always, before construction, you know, there's pre-construction planning and designing that has to occur, and the abilities and staffing in the different states differ, it varies. So there's no consistency, but I know all of the states are working hard to get that money on the ground. And as in our oversight capacity, perhaps we can get with them and see if there's more we can do in that. But right now, the states really are the ones that have the ability to do that.
So the $2 billion does not include, or the $2.2 billion does not include what the states will have to spend on their administrative costs, correct? And I appreciate your point, but it just seems if there's $8 billion plus to be spent, and basically we're saying that 25% is administrative costs, and like you say, there's always, when you do construction, there's always administrative costs. But having grown up in and around the construction industry, I would humbly submit to you that if a construction manager says their costs are going to be 25%, they'll never work again in construction. But unless they were in government, and then government, that would be 25% would probably be okay, but not in the real world. Let me ask Mr. Parfit, what would you recommend based on the way you've been doing things in Wyoming? You know what a problem you have there, and I'm certainly hoping that happy days may be near again, because we appreciate the coal that Wyoming has sent us in Texas and mixed with our coal, and I'm hoping that some of those mines may be able to reopen, and we have adequate scrubbers to make sure that our environment stays clean and gets cleaner. But in the meantime, you guys have really done an amazing job dealing with this. What recommendations specifically might you have for the federal program that could streamline it more efficiently? Just don't have much time, but just in a nutshell, suggestions for the federal program.
So One thing that comes to mind is we have to go through the NEPA process, and if there is a way to help streamline that process, it can take up to several years to get approvals through the NEPA process to move projects.
Yeah, it does seem amazing you've spent that much time and money to go through a process to decide the environmental impact of cleaning up the environment. There just seems to be something that's incongruous there. You got to get an impact study to decide how helpful the improvement will be. I agree, that's a problem. Well, we'll see what we can do on that. Thanks so much for being here.
I thank the gentleman. The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Heiss, is recognized for his time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize for